Hi, thank you for joining me. My name is Rocky. I'm with Chronicle Cemetery Software, and this is a demonstration of the software as of the summer of 2024. And we've been putting a lot of effort into the software. We do new releases about once every 3 weeks. And if you're watching this, you are somehow or another associated with a cemetery, probably the cemetery manager, and there's a handful of problems that you're trying to solve. You want to be able to hand the software off to the next generation in an easy to do format. And with us, we solve that. You'll just say, what's your email address? And give them a new username and a password, and they're ready to go. Other things that you want to solve, you want to keep track of who's buried where, and you want the public to be able to help themselves. You also want to be able to keep track of your inventory and see what graves are available, and we solve that. Additionally, you want to preserve the history of the deceased who are in your cemetery, and I'm going to show you how we address all of those things once we get rolling in the software. So I want to kick it off by showing you what our client base looks like. All of these are our clients, and I'm not sure where you are, but we've probably got somebody in your neck of the woods. And for our clients, we have a client here, Artesia Cemetery in California. If they get a phone call and somebody says, I'm looking for a plot or I want to find my loved one, their response is, hey, go to our website, artesiacemetery.com, click on the Grave Locator New button, and what happens is we're going to leave their website and we land on Chronicle. So this is Chronicle software, and this is their cemetery inside of Chronicle. And what we did on day one is we went to their cemetery and we flew a drone in a grid pattern, and that's where we got this background high-def orthomosaic photo that we're going to use as the map. We really feel that the thing that sets us apart from our competitors is our mapping. That's our pride and joy. We are detailed in what we do, and I want to show you that some of our competitors don't use a drone. They just use the Google photo, a Google image from Google Maps. And if you're doing that, then this is about as tight as you can zoom in. With us, I want to show how tight you can get. There we go. So you can see it's much more detailed. Something else that I want to point out is with our plots, we outline all four corners of it. I mean, there is no question where the body lies on this grave. With our competitors, what they'll do is you're going to be zoomed out like I showed you a minute ago, and they put a pin right in the middle, and it'll get you a good idea of where that person is, but I don't know if you'll be confident enough to dig. With us, there is no question. You can see exactly where these people are buried. And let me zoom out a little bit. And once we create the map, then we go in and we hand draw in every single plot one at a time. You'll notice there are some different sized plots. That's what's going on in this cemetery. I really don't have an explanation for why they're different sized, but apparently on this plot, they decided to divide it into 4 different plots. So that's what we reflect. And over here, we color code everything. So these green ones are vacant. They are available. I can sell those. So we can see this probably was a walking path at one point, and now they're filling it up. The yellow are reserved. So these are pre-need. They are sold. We know that we can't sell them again, even though there's nobody buried there. The blue are occupied, and if we zoom in, we can see who's in each grave. So there's a Vanderhoom, another Vanderhoom, a Notenboom, a Campbell. And if we want to do a search, we come up here and let's look for a Jones. There's always a Jones. So I type in Jones and it goes and it finds all of the Jones in the cemetery. And let's go find out about Albert Allen Jones. So when I click on it, it takes me to that grave. I can see that Albert was an infant. And I can see where he's located. I also want to show you the experience of somebody who is in the cemetery as a member of the public. So they can walk up, and if you have a sign with a QR code, they can take a photo of that, and that will automatically launch into the map. So they click on Open in Chrome, and now we are going to the cemetery. And again, this is on their smartphone while they are in the cemetery. So they can pull it up, they can search for a name. We're going to look for Sam Houston because this is in Texas, and there's got to be a Sam Houston. An official story on Sam that somebody's taken the time to fill out. And now we want to go to his grave. So now we're at the grave, and now we're going to walk to it. So that dot is the GPS inside the smartphone. And as we're moving, we can see it moving. And I'm going to speed this along. And so once we approach and we're at the grave, it walks us straight to the grave. There's the picture of the headstone. Now I'm going to switch to my camera. And there we are. That's where we are in the cemetery at the headstone. It's pretty cool. So going back, now I'm going to leave this cemetery, Artesia, and I'm going to go to my demo cemetery because I've got all the bells and whistles turned on. So over here on the left, we have photos of the cemetery. Here are examples of QR codes. I showed you one just a minute ago in a cemetery, but here's other ones. So we'll give you the background to print out, and you just have to go to a sign store and get them to create it. Here's a high-end one, but people walk up and just take a photo of that, and that will launch this map. Over here, I've got digital headstones, which I'll get into in a few minutes, but this is just a rotation of different headstones. These are plots for sale. So there's a number of ways that I can find plots for sale. This is one of them. Down here, I've got a calendar full of events that we have going on at the cemetery. I've got contact information for the cemetery, and down here is a paragraph that can be whatever you want. You'll probably put your rules and regulations, your hours of operation, things like that, but it's a paragraph. You can put whatever you need. And this is really cool. This is cemetery tourism. So this took off in Europe during COVID. And what it is say you have a group of people that all have something in common that you think the public would like to see, like maybe your Civil War vets or your World War I vets. And what happens is if I click on it, it automatically takes me to the first stop on my walking tour, which is right here, and it is Princess Buttercup. And if I click on this, you'll notice that it says create a memorial. So if Princess Buttercup here was my mother, I could enter a credit card, unlock a profile for $50 that will look like this. And now I can upload photos, videos, I could link to her Facebook, I can tell her story. And we're doing a revenue share with the cemetery. So this is a totally brand new source of revenue. Right now it's $50. Chronicle is going to take $35. The remainder goes to the cemetery. Give us a retail it for whatever. So if you say, hey, Rocky, people would pay $135 for this in my town. Okay, price it at that. Chronicle's going to keep $35, and the cemetery will get $100 because you have to mail that or mow that property for the next 200 years. So it can help offset some costs. Some other things to see in the cemetery. So this right here is a dog tag. We got a couple of them right here. That means these guys are veterans. So on Memorial Day, you'll tell your volunteers, hey, everybody get out your phone. If you see a dog tag, plant a flag. This right here indicates that somebody has taken the time to fill out a profile on this person. So everything that we've gone through so far is the public view of the cemetery, and now we are going to go log in and look at the back end of the software. So now I am logged in. And as you can see, we're doing this in a browser. So this is available anywhere, anytime on any device. It's going to work on your laptop, your desktop, your iPhone, your Android, your tablet. As long as you've got a connection to the internet, you are in business. And by the way, you could do this from Europe on a beach if you had your phone with you. So now we are logged in. You're going to notice things pretty much look the same, except over here we have a different control panel. So right here are my statistics for the cemetery. I can see how many total plots there are, how many are occupied, how many are vacant, and how many are for sale, and how many total interments. Something else that I want to point out that's going to differentiate us from the competitors is we're going to give you unlimited users. So that means you, your board, the librarian, the town manager, the funeral director, the grave digger, everybody can have a username and a password. They do not cost anything extra. But let's talk about a funeral director. So you want him to be able to log in and be able to search for family plots, but we don't want him to be able to bury people. He needs to tell you and create a work order to get you to do it. So in the permissions, when you're setting up that funeral director, you can restrict him and say he can search, but he cannot bury somebody. So some other thing down here, we've got reports. However you want to get your data, we can slice and dice it however you like. If you wanted to see everybody who was buried last year, you'd do interments. You'd say for all sections of the cemetery, and then you'd put from December to January, and then you can build the report to be what you want. So I want the plot ID, the name, the interment date, and when I generate it, it's going to output it as an Excel spreadsheet or as a PDF. We can do the same thing with deed owners. It also keeps track of user logs. So if you want to fill that plot for a really low price, the history will be there. So some other things to show you. Here is our table view. So this is the database itself. If you want to work directly in the database, this is where you have access, and we can sort by interment, ROI, which is the right of interment holder. That's whoever owns the plot. And there's filters, so you can sort and do things that you normally do in a database. And let's go take a look at the calendar now. So here's my calendar of events. And what we're doing here is we've got one calendar for everybody in the cemetery to reference. So we can see there's a number of funerals and we're mowing on the same day. Is that a good idea? So that's what this is designed to do, is to help you notice things. And these are work orders. So these are service tickets. You can go in and edit them. You can assign dates. You can assign it to a particular person. You can do different things, and all of this is customizable. You can also put the amount that was paid for the funeral service and whether it was or wasn't paid and who the purchaser is, and any attachments that you feel are necessary. You could also assign it to a specific business. So let's go take, oh, and over here is where we can do requests. So if you needed to bury somebody, or if somebody went on to your website and said, I want to buy this plot, and they fill in their form and hit submit, this is where it's going to show up. I also, okay, so let's take a look at an individual plot. So I'm looking for Kristen Amon. There we go, there she is. And when I click on her, it takes me right to her plot. So something else that I want to show you is this plot is for sale right here. If I click on this, I can enter in my information. I can see it's for $2,000, and it will automatically appear in the request, and it will send me an email saying, hey, you have one, and then I'll call them and sell them over the phone. So back to our plot here. Here, if you get a headstone survey from us, then you will have pictures of the headstones. But I can see in this plot there are two people buried. There is Kristen and there is Susan, and I can see their names right here. And if I want to find out more about Kristen, I can click on Edit, Here's all of my information on her. I've got her date of birth, her date of death. When I enter those, it automatically tells me her age. These are customizable fields. So this cemetery wanted to keep track of cause of death as well as occupation. If she was a veteran, I would click on this. That's what's going to put that dog tag on the map that I showed you a minute ago. I have her last known address down here. This is another customizable field. This one is a drop down. If you're a Catholic church, you might use the clergy. So this would be bishops, nuns, priests, etc. This is a customizable field that is a checkbox. So this can be anything you want. This is basically a yes or no. So uh, that can be used for any number of things. Same thing right here, more customizable fields. And here's the details on the burial itself. I can see that she is 3 feet down. She is cremated. She is in an urn. The urn is in the back of the plot. And by the way, these fields are customizable. So this could be north, south, east, west if you wanted it that way. And I can see that she was interred in 2010. Got a spot for notes for anything that didn't fit into the fields that we've already described. And I told you about how the public can buy a digital headstone. You as the cemetery can also do them for free. And down here is where our documents are. So this is anything that you want to preserve regarding Casey. So we could do, this will probably be your receipts, your paperwork, deeds, things of that nature, but anything that you feel is relevant that should be saved for perpetuity. Let's go back up at the top, and right here is where we can create our certificates. So if you wanted to generate a deed, this is where you would do it. And the deeds are customizable. All of the forms are customizable. So it's a template, and what happens is if you click on this, it's automatically going to pull this information in, and it'll build it in the template. And again, you control the templates. You'll design it. You can put your logo in the upper left-hand corner. It's all customizable. Down here, we've got next of kin. We've also got who conducted the funeral, if you keep track of that information. But let's find out a little bit more about the plot. Like who owns it? So for that, I'm going to go $2,500 in April of 2004. And if I want to see the history of this plot, I can come over to events, and here's everything that's ever happened on this plot. So we can see in April 4th of 2004, we had a sales meeting with the family. They must have, was 2 days later, we were preparing the grave. A few days after that, we had the funeral. And then Kristen was added to the plot in April of 2010. We had a flower delivery in 2010 as well. And it looks like earlier in 2024, we added dirt to the plot. And that is the software. It's really pretty simple. With our support, this is going to come with 2 1-hour walkthroughs. The first one is going to be basically just us meeting with you and you telling us all the oddities about your cemetery and all the things that are unique. Like these are infant graves and this is a pauper's field and we're not sure what's going on over there, things of that nature. And then after the project is done, we're going to do a live training with you and go through and build a deed, play with some different things, have you bury somebody and make sure that you understand it. And we also have support that's available. So you can call in, you can email, there are support documents as well. And we look forward to earning your business. If you want to give us a call, contact information should be popping up shortly, and I look forward to meeting you, and we will give you accurate numbers. We look forward to earning your business. Thank you for spending time with us, and have a great day.